Okay, so let's get started with this last chicken. It's been a while since I've been doing this, and I've been working on other things, so I might be using slightly different colours, or I may not be. I can't really remember what I've been using, but as I say, it doesn't really matter. Yeah, the colours might be a bit different. So first off, I'm going to use the I remember this one now. This is the one I can't pronounce. It's the 191 in the Polychromes. I think I attempted to try and name it the other day and failed miserably. So I'm not even going to try and say it today. So I'm going to start with the 191. I'm just going to colour this whole bit in. I'm just going to lightly go back and forth to get a good even coverage. Might need to come over here, yeah, over the beak here. Okay, and then let's come up here. Right, let's do these bits down here as well while we've got this colour. I'm just going to do it a bit darker down here so I don't lose the line. Back to this front one. Okay, we've got some here. Not quite sure what these bits on the chicken are called actually, if I'm totally honest. Okay, let's just do it around the eye bit. I'm not following the line drawing exactly here because I don't think it's quite right somehow. I'm not quite sure why. I think I made it a bit bigger than it should be. That looks a little bit better. Let's get the pupil in. I And you can't put a lot of detail in there, but you want them to look realistic. I've got the burnt ochre here. Like you've got some catch lights in there as well. Only little ones. I could try and put them in with the slice tool perhaps. We'll see. I'm going to make his pupil just a little bit bigger. Okay, I think that's fine. Back to the 191, and we can put a bit more of this around the eye. Okay, so looking at my photo here, it comes across over here to the beak. Okay, and then, so I seem to have missed half the line drawing out in this one. I have always said my line drawings are never that, you know, they're quite simple. I think if you put in everything, it can be a bit complicated sometimes, but I seem to have missed this one's entire face out. Right, so bring it down a bit more. I'm going to do it very lightly here because it turns a different colour. Might put a bit of cocoa over that one, over this bit. Okay. Right, it gets dark here, so I'm just putting a bit more pressure here just to get the darker bits in. So I've still got the 191 here. Right, this one on the other side is a bit darker. Okay. I'm going to put a bit of the details in as well. Okay. Right, let's do a bit more up here. Let's try and get the shape a bit better. Tidy it up a bit. I've got my little dog snoring again under the table now. You can hear a funny noise. I'm quite happy with that. Put in another colour now. So I've now got the Caput Mortuum Violet 263, and I just want to put a bit more definition in the eye. Oh, that's it. Just want to bring this eye forward a bit more. That looks better already. Okay, I think that'll be fine. As I say, we don't want to put too much detail in. They're just too small, so we don't want to overdo it. So let's get a bit more colour in this area here. So I've got the permanent carmine, the 126. I don't think I've used this colour actually, but it's just another one that I think works well. And just going round and round in circles, it just gives it a bit of texture because they're quite bumpy. I'm going to do like a couple of little lines here just to get the texture. I think my one's looking a bit angry at the moment. Hopefully that doesn't continue. He's looking like he's got a bit of an angry face. Right, so we've got a little kink here that we need to get in. Okay, just tidy that up a bit more. So before I go any further, I've got the mono rubber here. I just want to do a bit more to this eye. I'm not happy, so I'm just going to take out this line that I've put in before I go any further. It's just not looking right there. Let's get the, I think what I'm going to go with is the terracotta, which I had out on my table and it's now gone. Okay, let's go with the brown burnt ochre. So you can go with the terracotta here as well. Just any orangey brown colour will be fine. And then I'll go with the cinnamon. It's a bit deeper than the other pencil I use. I think think I used the burnt ochre 10%, but I've got the cinnamon here. I'm just going to add a bit of that around the burnt ochre. Okay, and then let's get the caput mortuum violet. Do under here a bit more. So I'm not taking everything that I've just put in, I'm just lightening a bit of the colour I've just put in there. That's looking better. Okay, that looks better, I think. Right, so let's do a bit more on this red area. I think I'm going to try with the cocoa Pablo. We've used this before. Just want to darken up some areas down the bottom here. Okay, I think that's all that needs there. I'll put a bit of that up here actually. Okay, now we need to get some, let's go with the walnut brown. We've used this one before as well. Just want to start, oh, get a bit more dark areas in. I'm keeping it quite simple. Okay, and then let's go back to the 191. I'm just going to blend that as much as I can now, just to get a bit more colour in. And just going to get the indigo, the dark indigo, and I'm just going to darken that bit on the inside there, or you can use a black. I've got the black as well, just to give it a bit more depth. And while I've got the black, I'm just going to do a bit of the one at the front here. Just gives it a bit more depth there. Okay, and I think we'll leave that as it is. Let's get on with the beak. Now we've been using the cream in the Polychromes as the base, so we'll do that again. Okay, I've now got the cocoa back and the Pablo. I'm just going to put this line in on the beak. So we know where it is. Like that. And then the dark cardamom yellow. That's the 108. The burnt sienna, 283. Let's just do the top part here. And then we'll do a bit of a nostril here. As I say, it's very small. We can put something in. Going to take a little bit out with the mono rubber. I think I might go with the walnut brown actually, just to make that a bit darker. I'm just going to sharpen the walnut brown. That's better. I can get a bit more detail in. I'm just going to go around the outside of the beak just to give it a bit more shape. Clean that up a little bit there. Back to the cardamom yellow. And then maybe a bit of burnt ochre. You can use the, say, the terracotta perhaps, but I don't know where mine's gone. I'll find it later. And I think that's fine for the beak. So we can start working on the feathers now, coming down. Now the colour I have been using, I believe, is the brown ochre 10% in the luminance. That one's been working quite well for a base layer. So if I've got larger areas, I do find the luminance easier to work with. I need to make sure I go in the direction of the feathers, obviously, as well. So they're coming into here. Actually, while I think about it, I'm going to do that bit there. So I'm going to get the rubber back, just give it a clean. And we've got some feathers just sort of sprouting up here. So I'm just going to take some of the red out. It just makes it look a bit more natural. And then I'll go back to the brown ochre and just fill that in, and that's all it needs. Okay, so coming back down here, just move my photo up. That's it. Now this is lighter on the back side. Just seeing how far they come down a bit further. So these are like the long back feathers. Okay. Okay, so the next two colours, I've got the light ochre and ochre in the Pablo range. I'm using these just because they're the colours that I want to use. So yeah, I don't always go by what the pencil brand is, it's what colour that I particularly want, and I think these two colours will work well with these back bits here. So I'm going to use the light ochre first. So they're long feathers here at the back, so I'm doing long sweeps to replicate that with my pencil. Okay, and then I'm going to go over to the ochre now. Let's get the mono rubber, so I can take a little bit out here. So I'm not taking out what I've just put in. I'm just lightening the colour in places just to give it more, I don't know, depth really. Then I'm going to go with the burnt sienna. I'm going to go back to the ochre. I'm going to put a bit more of that up here. So I do a couple off the line here. I don't want a line. Okay, a bit more detail down here. Okay, now I've got a different colour here. I've got the raw umber in the Polychromes. That's the 180. Works well with the oranges and yellows. Some of that under here as well, and I think that's pretty much it for these feathers at the back here. I'm going to go back to the walnut brown because I just want to darken up in here. Okay, and before I move further down, I'm going to go back to the cinnamon just to come in here a little bit more, just to put a bit more colour in here. I'm not sure if it's made much difference really, but because it's quite light here, but I don't want it just left. I think that's okay. I think that's pretty much it for this head area. We could do a catch light because he has got a slightly bigger eye, so I'm going to get the slice tool and just take a little bit out. Don't want to take too much out obviously, because you can't undo it once you've, I think that's just about right. And we can always get the white Pablo just to colour that in, which I don't seem to have with me. There we are. I've got a white Pablo here. I'll just fill that in a little bit, and I think that's all he needs. While I'm doing that, actually, let's do this little guy as well. So just tiny little catch light. That will be good. That's fine. Don't need to do any more about that now. So let's start moving down the body now. So and also we've got the back feathers at the back here as well. So actually that might be a good idea to get that in, and then we can continue down the front. Okay. I think nougat would be a good one to start with. That's the 178. These back feathers are quite blurry, so we don't want any sharp lines, which is why I haven't sharpened this pencil. I just found it like this, which was quite handy. So I'm going to get the outline of the back feathers here. So we don't want any sharp lines up here. Okay, and then we've got this one under here. Okay, and then these ones down here get a bit darker, but we just use the nougat to get to grips where we are with these feathers. The further down you go, the less you can see, so we're not going to be putting in a lot of detail, we're just going to be putting in shapes really. Okay, and then that's part of the wing there. Just lightly put a line in. Then we've got the neck coming down here. Okay, right, let's start filling them in up the top here. They're lighter up the top. Also going to mention actually on this one, it looks like, I suppose it looks like scratching on the screen. It's just because the light is on the film. It's just one of those things that can't be helped with drafting film. If it's under a light, you can get these like scratchy marks. It's not anything that I can really do anything about. Okay, so we've got, right, so we've got one coming over here actually, haven't we? And then that one's underneath. Okay. Right, now I'm going to go to another colour. I've got the light beige here. I'm just going to fill this area in. A bit of this one under here. I mean, these are very similar to the the warm grey 1s and 2s. I just like the Pablos because they're a small pencil barrel. You have a bit more control. Well, not more control, but they just feel nicer in a way for small details like this. And we've got like a little orange feather here. Okay, and then go back to the nougat. I'm just going to fill in a bit more. Okay, and I think what would be a good one as well is the sepia 10%. We've used that quite a bit on these chickens, so I just want to blend what I've just done, make it softer. pencil dust already. I'll do the same up the top, and it just sort of blurs them out a little bit. And then what I'll probably do, just to add a bit more of a detail here, I'll use the mono rubber. What's that there? Okay. Let's move down to the next feather. So I've got the, what did I get out now? I've got another Pablo here. I've got a beige. I'm literally just filling it in at the moment. Again, these pencils are very similar to the warm greys if you don't have the Pablos. Now these ones down here have got an orange brown tinge, but they're in shade, but we'll put the colour in. Okay, so I'm going to go with the brown ochre, or the burnt ochre, sorry, the 187. That one's a lot darker. Okay, so we get the walnut brown now. And these darker areas I'm just going to fill in. So I'm just really creating shapes, not individual feathers as such. Getting lots of pencil dust today. These ones do still need to be darker. I might put black in places. Okay, I'm going to go back to the nougat. I'm just going to go over the burnt ochre. I've got another colour here. Now this is chestnut with the Pablo. I will be using this on the chest feathers, and I just want to put a touch of it on these back ones. Just in places, just to give it a bit more vibrancy. down here. And then I'm going to go to the dark sepia, just darken the areas up that do need darkening. I was going to do black, but I thought dark sepia might work better. Okay, I think that's pretty much all we're going to do. I might get the the sepia 10%, which I had a minute ago. It's incredible how these pencils just go missing. Here we go. So I've got the sepia 10% here. I'm just going to smooth it over a little bit more, just blur it out. And it just blends it all nicely together. And then we get the mono rubber. I'll just clean the tip of that. And we're just putting a few little highlights up the top here. So we're just lifting out a bit of colour here and there just to give it a bit more detail. And I think that will be absolutely fine for those back feathers. So we're keeping it nice and simple. And I think that looks absolutely fine. So let's start moving down to the chest area. Now we've got lots of little feathers going on here, which looks totally overwhelming, but I'm going to make it nice and simple. So the colours I'm going to use, okay, so I'm going to start with the warm grey 2, that's the 271, and I'm just going to pretty much cover this area, and then with the burnt ochre that I've got here, we've used this plenty of times, the 187, that's the 187, yeah, it looks a bit like 16, but it's 187. And then with this one we're going to start doing a few feathers, not too much detail, and then we'll use the sepia 10% for the lighter areas and also to help blend, because we want to keep it nice and soft. And then, as I mentioned, we'll use the chestnut for the colour up the top. So let's start with the warm grey 2. And it's quite a nice, it's not too sharp, I didn't want it too sharp because we're just laying down the base colour. And I'm taking it in the direction of the feathers. As you can see at the sides here, they're going off this way, and then we've got quite a few different directions going on here. So we'll try and get them in. We've got the wing here, so I'm not going to go any further there. And I'm also going to use quite short strokes as well because of the little size, the size of the feathers. They're quite small on the chest area. But I think this is another reason why I've not done chickens. I mean, I've been drawing for, I can't even tell you how many years, and yet I've always stopped, you know, when I've thought about doing chickens, I've always been like, nah, I can't be doing with all the feathers. But you don't have to make it complicated. And this is what this drawing was about. It was keeping it simple and not getting, you know, tied up with all the individual feathers and giving yourself a headache. You don't always need so much detail to get a good drawing. It's just not necessary. It's just getting the right colours and the depth, and as I say, you don't have to go wild with all the details, and that's what this drawing's been about. Right, so here we've got them coming this way because they're meeting in the middle. So I'm not going mad with the pressure, I'm literally just coating the first layer with the pencil. I'm not pushing down too hard. And then down here it gets a lot darker, which is where that chestnut colour will come in. We might even use a bit of walnut brown in there. We'll see how we go. I think what would be fun, after now doing these chickens, which I've actually really enjoyed, it would be really good to do just the one, but with a lot more detail next time. And yeah, just concentrate on the one and get some more detail in those feathers and really get stuck in. And I think that would be a good drawing to do soon. I will record it. I just want to move my picture up. Okay, now we're coming this way. We're coming this way. So we've got some different size feathers as well, so we'll try and get some of that in. So now I've got the burnt ochre. I'm going to start down this side. Let's just move my picture a little bit. So I'm not going to worry about any detail really just yet. I'm just going to put this colour in. And then down this side it's a lot lighter, so I'm going to leave that. You can probably see from my line drawing I just didn't bother putting well, hardly any detail, to be honest, because it just wasn't necessary. It would have just confused, made it more confusing, and yeah, it's just easy to just do it this way, I think. Unless you want it to be super real and to the picture. So what I'm doing here, I'm kind of doing blocks of colour, if you can see what I mean, just to kind of make some shapes. And then I'm keeping an eye on the length of the feathers as well. So I don't want it to be all the same size. I want it to look uniform. We've got some smaller ones on this side. So if I just done the whole colour in this colour, just the block, it would look a bit too flat. So by doing it like this in blocks of the burnt ochre, I'm creating some shapes that represent the feathers. Okay, but I'm going to come down to here. I want to leave that side bit because it's a lot lighter there, and I don't want to put the burnt ochre in there. So we've got lots of different directions going on here, so that's what I'm doing with the pencil. Right, let's put this edge of the wing in here. Yeah, so it comes down to about there, so we know where the wing starts. We've got those tufty little ones at the bottom there. Okay, let's come back over this side. The feathers are a bit bigger over this side. And come on over here. move on to the next colour. So as I said, we're going to go with the chestnut now. This is quite a nice colour for this chicken. So I'm going to do pretty much the same, but I'm going to start doing a bit more detail. So I'm constantly looking at the shape of the feathers, the size, and obviously the direction as well. So I'm creating kind of like oval sizes, shapes, sorry. This can take a little while, but this is when you're chilling out, listening to music or whatever, doing these sort of drawings. Very relaxing, aren't they? Right, so let's come this way. So at the moment I'm just going to mark out where I think I'm going to put the feathers, and then I'll go back and fill them in a bit more. I don't want it to look uniform, because that's not what they're you know, they're all going in different directions and they're different shapes and sizes. Okay, let's come back up this side. Okay, so this leg here, let's get that in so we don't lose the top of his leg there. And then we'll do the same this side.